Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you from after the game 2 of Mavericks versus Celtics. I think I realized I might not have sent the link to Combo now that we're thinking about it, Chip. But
You probably should.
Yeah, I probably should send that to him so he can get in here. In fact, my watch is vibrating a lot, and I'm sensing that maybe I'm getting a text right now. So
Yeah,
let's
you might
get that
be.
over to him. But Chip, throw me out your first impressions of the game. And don't forget, Chip is a college and high school referee, knows everything we need to know about what's going on with the intricacies of that whistle. Give me your overall impressions while I send over the link to the combo.
Sounds great. Yeah. Man, listen, what a game. It was an interesting game to me. I liked that it was closer and more competitive than game 1, but it was interesting because on a night where Boston did not shoot very well at all, they still came out victorious, so it was one of those that, you talk about being able to run Boston off the 3-point line. They did that well. The Mavs did that well early on. And then when they did get open looks, they weren't hitting. The threes weren't falling for Boston. And they still ended up winning by 7. But it was a lower scoring game. It was a lower scoring game with defense on both sides. I felt like it was just interesting that Boston had one of their worst shooting nights and still came out victorious. So a lot to talk about for this game, though.
I mean, I feel like Boston kept giving them the game. Please, Mavericks, take it. Here it is. Seal the game on the road. We'll give you home court advantage back. Like, it was weird, and it was there for the Mavericks to take over and over again. It was kind of interesting to see how often the Celtics were going to miss an open three, but then get the rebound. It happened 4 or 5 times maybe. And it was just, some of them were like long rebounds where you're just like, there's nothing that Mavericks really could have done. It was one of those things, but it kept happening there. But we definitely need to get into some of the individual stuff going on too with the players, because that was also a little bit astounding. We have Combo. Let's bring Combo in here now. Hey, Combo, it's great to see you. Are you there with us? Let's find out. We can.
What's up, Combo?
He's looking a little confused, but maybe he'll fix everything. But we'll get him in there in a second. But don't forget, if you want your question answered on the show, the best way to do that would be to use a super chat on the YouTube side. We'll put the thing up on the screen. We'll give you lots of love. Really appreciate it. And here we go. Our first super chat while we're waiting for Combo is from Cliffside. Hey, Cliff, great to see you. Thanks so much for being part of the show again. Instead of Luka and Kyrie ISO plays, get KP, Horford, Hauser into the pick and roll. Also, remember, whichever wing switches has to guard Gafford. So there's that too. It's almost like somebody went on Twitter yesterday and showed a couple of shots of Gafford hurting the defense because of mismatches down low. And poof, they went right to it in the second half. And I thought that's what they needed to mind. Didn't I say that in the show? Do you remember that, Chip? Didn't I say we needed more Gafford in the show?
Yeah, I do remember that, especially on mismatches. And it looked like they tried to exploit that when he did get those mismatches today.
It's really also about Lively. Now, Lively had been terrific for them all up until this series. But I don't know. He's not helping them in the way that I think Gafford can offensively. And then defensively, I don't know. To me, Lively isn't as much of a presence either. So you might as well have Gafford in. I know there's like 2 or 3 Boston fans on Twitter that were trying to roast me for that Gafford take. And I'm like, he can't play, he can't defend in 5 out. And I think that the only evidence they had was a trail 3 from 30 feet plus by KP in the game 1, which like no one's going to get out to stop that, So at any rate, Combo, are you okay there? Are we doing? No, can't hear you. Okay, so the audio is getting there. So here we go. At least now he's in the frame. We're getting closer. Yeah. So that was a big thing there. But yeah, so there's no question getting if you try and target KP, Horford, Hauser in a pick and roll, then that means you're getting like some action versus just doing like ISOs. And I think that would really help them if they can get into that too. So Cliffside, really good point. And despite all of that, they were right there. They had a dunk in transition to cut it to 5. 3. No, 3. That would have cut it to 3. And then what? Derek White comes down, hits a 3.
Yep, with 50.5 seconds left. Can we talk about that play real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, real quick. So I don't know if y'all caught this near the end of the broadcast, but they showed that replay again, and it's something that I noticed from the first replay and even from live speed. I was actually shocked that a foul was not called on Brown on that play, because it's an acceleration play. He has his hand in PJ's back. Okay. And if you don't think that could influence and cause a player to accelerate, then I submit to you Exhibit A that PJ Washington, there is no way that he gets his dunk blocked by the front of the rim on that play unless he's accelerating forward faster than he intended to. So in my mind, that is going to be graded. Is this going to be an L2M report game? I don't think so.
7 points.
It was, well, but it's got to be within 3 points at any point in the last 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So, and I can't remember I don't think it was.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, Combo.
Okay.
So if it was an L2M report game, I would have expected to see that graded as an incorrect no call, because that hand from Brown on PJ Washington's back causes him to it's an acceleration play, causes him to accelerate and get his dunk blocked by the rim first.
Well, right, because in my mind he didn't get high enough to dunk it, and that was what I was watching for. I'm like, he wasn't ever going to make that because there was contact on the hand and the ball, which again we can talk about for the other call we need to. But I was like, but he didn't jump off from that far away, so that was weird to me. So that must be the explanation, is that that's the reason.
That's the reason it causes him to accelerate fast. It causes him to accelerate faster, and so he's blocked by the rim.
That was brutal. Yeah, I mean, it's brutal, and there's a whole bunch of things we can talk about in playing too. That was pretty brutal and frustrating from my standpoint, because I expected by the finals that you should have players playing, well. They should know how to be, what they need to do, what their roles are, and how that all fits together. But Combo, are you with us?
I'm here.
All right.
Let's go.
I'm not sure that the mic is working, but tap that mic for a second for us for fun.
Different mic. How do I sound?
You sound great, but then does that mean you have to have the big contraption on your head?
Probably not, but it looks good for the show.
No worries. All right. So what's your overall take on this game? So what you saw so far?
Well, I know with Chip here, we often look at it from a reffing perspective, and I noticed from the beginning that the refs weren't really allowing Dallas to be as physical as they could have been, I think. But even with that, I did feel that Dallas was more in tune defensively and a little bit more aggressive defensively, except Lively. I actually thought he was a little bit too aggressive probably in the first game with all those fouls. I thought he tapered it back a little bit, but I felt like the defense is a little bit more on a string and better for Dallas. But, I mean, when Kyrie's struggling and, Luka's playing well at times, but still taking tough to bad shots, and Boston's playing like a real basketball team, plus the lob threat doesn't seem to be at the same degree that it has been in previous series. I think all that combined just made it tough for this Dallas team to win.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I mean, they're obviously targeting Kyrie on defense because he's the one guy that they're having, the league, that's who you're supposed to be doing. And it wouldn't make a lick of difference in my mind if Kyrie was playing well offensively, right? That's the whole way. If you're not great defensively, or if you're shorter and you're not whatever, all those shortcomings you might have physically, you can overcome that by actually playing well defensively. Kyrie is the worst player on the floor. I'm just going to light him up right now. He's the worst player. Not even pound for pound. Just like he's playing worse than anybody else who's on the court right now. And he's put all this extra pressure on himself to somehow score and do well. And it's getting him in horrible situations against good defenders. They don't have to bring an extra defender. They don't have to do anything special defensively against him. They can let the guys who are guarding him guard him. And he is just, going too fast, off balance, losing. But he had 2 turnovers, but I would say 3 or 4 of his shots were turnovers. So it was really maddening to watch him do that. And, we all know how good he is and what he can do. So at any moment he can turn this around. In fact, he turned it around for like 3 minutes of this game, but he cannot play that way if they have any hope of winning a game.
It was interesting. It was interesting in the first half. I thought he was playing really bad, but then he was 5 for 10 with 2 assists. I mean, the stats didn't look as bad as he was playing in the first half. Did it feel like he was 5 for 10 going down the stretch of that second quarter? For me,
no. I wrote it down in my notes. Let me get them out real quick because he started out again hyper aggressive and got it stripped and got blocked. Right, but then he hits a 3 and then he hit another shot. So he kind of bunched a couple shots really close together, and that's what gave him that spurt. But other than that, he literally was the worst player on the floor. And imagine that. Imagine if he was only, middle. If he was mid in this game, they might win because they only need to make up 7 points at that point. Mid Kyrie's
pretty good.
Yeah, but like if you're wondering why I might seem frustrated about the loss, like almost from a Mavericks fan standpoint, it's really only because I would like to have this. I don't want to see a sweep. I want to have this be somewhat competitive, and it's annoying and frustrating to see a team shoot itself in the foot like that. Now, Boston was shooting themselves all night in the foot with like what they were doing. I thought offensively, there were times when they ran horrible offense, got nothing, and got 3-point plays at the very end. On this and this, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they conjured up. I would say 3 or 4 times that happened. That was maddening. They didn't deserve to be rewarded with a 3-point play or 3 points. So it was a weird game. Lots of stuff happening. We got to keep digging into this. But let's get some more super chats. So, Erez Gal, thank you so much, Erez. A lot came down to free throws in this game. Well, let's look at the free throw numbers real quick. So the Mavericks finished 16 for 24. And that must mean they got hot because I think they started out even worse than that.
It was 10 for 18. It was 10 for 18 in the fourth quarter earlier. 10 for 18 earlier in the fourth quarter. Yep.
So they made 6 of the last 6. So they got hot at the end. And then the Celtics were 19 for 20. And that's how you win a game when you're struggling and not shooting well from 3. But by the way, they ended up at 25% from 3, 10 for 39. Amazing, they got the double digits on threes because they were missing so many. And by the way, this is the best chance I think the Mavericks had. This is probably going to be, if they're going to win, they're going to win. They're going to have to really do some other things. But like this was their best chance to take a game on the road. The Celtics were giving it to them, and they wouldn't take it.
A lot of tough shots.
Go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of tough shots. Like so Luka had a night, but like even with Kyrie and Luka shots in the clutch, like they weren't easy shots. You know what I mean? Like Kyrie was trying to do a lot, like you said. They were forcing a lot of tough shots. Luka's, pretty high percentage, fairly on those fadeaways from the mid, but like still, like those aren't shots when you're down 7, down 8 that are high percentage shots that you want him to take. It's like they didn't have an answer for what Boston was doing defensively in those moments and weren't able to get easier looks.
Quality of shots for Boston was at a way higher level than it was for Dallas. And I know
ball movement.
Luka could make them, but it's not like you kind of want to get to those shots when you have to. Like the greatest players could make those type of shots, but that shouldn't be the majority of your shot diet. Like turn around, one leg, fades from the mid-range, and just tough threes that Luka was taking as well. I feel like Dallas probably has to do more on offense from a team perspective, player movement perspective, and ball movement perspective to have a chance in this series.
Yeah, and that's why guys like Gafford can really help because he can take the pressure off the other two and loosen up the defense a little bit. And he was 6 for 9, and they were doing everything I said that they needed to do from the last time. And he got 22 minutes. And I think in game 1, let me see, can I open up the box where? Now they have it from the. How can I find game 1? Anyway, here, see all games. He played 19 minutes maybe in game 1. Let me see here. Gafford played. Oh my goodness, that's not where I wanted to go. Anyway, how do I get to game 1? It said all games. I click on all games. It doesn't take me all games. God darn it.
Gafford plays 14 minutes in game 1.
14. Okay. Good. So, that's a significant upgrade. They saw what I saw, both post game and then the couple days in between that they needed to find him more. Lively's not helping them. He's getting rookie calls and he's making rookie mistakes on the fouls, right, Chip? We had talked about that one in transition where he runs pass blocking for was it PJ behind him? Who was behind him?
Oh gosh, I can't remember, but yeah, it was one of those situations where he's literally like a lead blocker in football. And sure, KP embellishes contact a little bit, but that's only because Lively's got his arm extended like this, and he's just running through him, like trying to take him out of the play. It's an illegal screen.
I thought I caught KP with a little bit of a clamp, like underneath, and then holding that arm to him too. But I think the infraction is his arms are there to begin with, and
he's just moving into him. Yep.
So what's the deal with Tim Hardaway Jr.? Because they need something here. Like they need to change something here. And you mentioned a little bit. Obviously, him and Lively don't play the same position, but you could go less bigs. Coach Nick, what do you think they could do from just a minutes perspective, and who maybe they could change up in the lineup?
Yeah, it's funny. Like Dante Exum's going to get 10.5 minutes, but Tim Hardaway doesn't get 0. And I understand it. Here's the problem with Tim Hardaway is if you could carve out the right moments and the right amount of minutes for him, he can really help. But you got to be able to figure out when those minutes are and get him off before he hurts you, because he will hurt you if you give him a little bit too much time and too much situation. So they should probably find that they need that. Well, I can't pick. Yeah, Jaden Hardy got no run. He got 2 minutes in here, and that had to be at the end. Like, I don't understand that. That's not like he was definitely a normal part of the rotation. So I know the game got separation at some point after the beginning, perfect start for the Mavericks, and then it fell apart after that. So I guess they wanted to grind it out and like keep everybody, the starters, in as much as possible. But you got to be able to find other ways. Otherwise, they're going to wear the guys down, and they look tired by the end. I mean, even that turnover, they almost throw the ball away in the backcourt, right? And they somehow grab it back, and they just throw it right away again anyway. And then it comes right back down for a dunk, maybe, right? Or whatever that was. That ended the game. That ended the game in 30 seconds, whatever it was. So it was like, that's tired. That's fatigue, Actually, how many minutes they ended up playing? So you had Kyrie at 41 and a half and Luka at 42 plus. So that's going to happen to those guys. And PJ was at 40. So, they need to figure out better ways and better lineups. Again, this is what happens when you rely on your gut. I don't know how else to explain it. If we had AI and they had computers, I guarantee you those numbers would not be, those lineups would not play the right minute, those same minutes in a perfect world.
Yeah, I guess because this is what got them here, right? That's part of the reason.
But you got to adapt. I mean, you got to adapt for sure. And listen, there was some elements of what the Mavs did defensively earlier in the game that I thought were good adjustments. So they didn't necessarily match Lively's minutes with KP's minutes. Right. They brought Lively in before KP came in. They did try to get more physical, like Combo said. Here's the thing about the officiating on that. There was a lot of fouls called early. I think the officials knew and anticipated there had to be an increase in physicality, for the Mavs to be able to do what they wanted to do adjustment-wise. And so that you can't let it devolve into like kind of what it did in game 2 of that Nuggets
Minnesota
Timberwolves series, you know what I mean? Like the Wild Wild West. So they have to clean some things up like that. But I even like the fact in some of the switches the Mavs did, even some of their potentially zone defense early, to run them off of the 3-point line and get them to drive. And the Celtics weren't hitting their layups. We saw Tatum miss a few of those wide open layups, finger rolls that he did. He came back and hit some in the second half, but he was missing some of those. So it was working. They were keeping it close. Then ball movement started happening from the Celtics more in the second half, and that's why they were able to get some more open looks.
Well, let's get to our next super chat from Andrew Zhu, who is definitely we have what's the next thing up above best friend of the breakdown? The Godfather of the breakdown. Something. Andrew, he's always there with us. Thanks so much for being part of this. Really, really appreciate it. Would you lessen Lively's minutes for Kleba? Kleba was awful tonight, but maybe plays better at home. I don't know. Nothing about Kleba's play since he's come back has given me any hope that he'd be okay. He was passing up threes. I actually wasn't paying attention as much tonight, but I know in game 1, like there were 2 or 3 opportunities, catch and shoot right there. He should be shooting those. He's not. The shot clock's winding down. They get a worse shot. So nothing I've seen from him. He played 16 minutes. He was a +1. So there's something there. But he's 0 for 4 from the field. Missed 2 threes. Fouled 4 times in 16 minutes. It's a lot of fouls. So I just don't know. I would not feel that comfortable if I was Jason Kidd giving him any more minutes than that. But I would like to probably, and you will see this. I guarantee you Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to get a run. They're going to give him a run in the second quarter and see how he does.
Yep. I got to try it, in my opinion.
Kleber looks uncomfortable. And you mentioned him not taking the shot. I feel like this is a universal rule of basketball. Usually when you don't take the shot you should take, it goes downhill from there. And that's what happens when you don't shoot when you're open in the playoffs, especially with Celtics defense being this great. Yeah.
Now, let me just throw this out there because I'll keep it fair and balanced. Kyrie was the worst player on the floor. Well, Jason Tatum was the worst player on the Celtics team, without question there. I know he came back and hit some shots, and that's sort of the nature of Jason Tatum's game, right? He has games we've seen last year and the year before where he is the worst player on the floor, and then will hit 3 threes in the fourth quarter in a crunch time and win the game, right? It's not easy to build around that, and that's why I don't think that Missoula was, I don't think Jason Kidd was necessarily lying when he said that Jaylen Brown was the best player in the Celtics. As of now, he is unquestionably. Yep. Tatum is not bringing it he must have missed at least 3 layups. Took some terrible shots, I thought. And so it was almost like him and Kyrie are competing for that. And I was just mind-boggling to me. Again, you expect in the finals that you're going to be operating on all, firing all cylinders and really get everybody playing the right way. And it's not happening right now. I wonder what what's it called when the ratings. I wonder what the ratings are like if people are tuning into these games.
I think we've been saying this for years, Coach Nick, and every time we talk about it, they try and kill us in the comment section. But, let me give Jason a little bit of credit. I mean, I thought he was good in some other areas of the game outside of like scoring the basketball at times. Like he's trying to do the other thing, but you want that more like that's a compliment more for a role player than like your star player, right? So, he was doing some things out there, but, I totally agree. And I've been saying this for a while, like, Jaylen Brown, to me, I don't know if he is their best player now, but I always said I like Jaylen Brown's game better than Tatum's game. Always.
Yeah. Fumbling a dribble. He's never been able to clean up his dribble. It's really weird to me. And then he gets his eyes down the drives a lot of time. He gets stuck in there. He got a foul on one. And it's actually a nice little jump off pass to the big, whoever was there. And there was a foul in there too. So he did okay. But like the baseline replay is like, his head is just completely down. He can't see anything.
For a superstar level player, he doesn't read the game at a superstar level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he puts his head down.
Like a SGA. Like these guys have special savant feel that I don't know if Jason Tatum has.
Yeah. Well, let's get to Larry the Lobster, who's living in all caps. Thank you so much, Larry. We live in North Korea. Nothing to talk about. We have to wonder if this is a burner for somebody else that we all know, because the next one here is show your hands, slide your feet, which is an age-old expression that, back in the 40s when we talked about shooting and coach shooting, coach defense, this is what we would say. Show your hands, slide your feet. What's funny is that if you have your hands out in front of you, I don't know if you can see out in front of you, and then you're trying to slide, you're so completely unathletic and not quick that way. And it's amazing that that's how we use those methods back in the day.
Right.
And certainly now when players can accelerate from a stop, and we know how to teach that properly, and they can handle the ball like they can, none of that stuff works anymore, really. But it's fun to go visit a museum and hear some of those bromides that we used to use back in the day. Hands high, butt down was a big one for the closeout. So anyhow, but thank you, Larry. I really appreciate it and getting in here with the that's from SpongeBob, right? Is that what that is?
I guess so. Yeah, my son used to watch SpongeBob, I guess. So.
Yeah, Combo, you must know that. No,
I'm not a big SpongeBob guy.
Okay, and you don't let your kid watch it?
My kid watches Paw Patrol and all these other.
Yeah.
How about the Backyardigans? Do your kids ever watch the Backyardigans?
No, but what era is that from, Coach Nick?
What? What
era is the Backyardigans from?
Well, it's my daughter, so I guess it was 2007, 6, 7. Is that too early?
Yeah, my son is
Tyrone, Pablo. Remember those guys? Uniqua. Anyway, so when my son was going to be born, we asked my daughter what she wanted to name him, and she said Tyrone. So she wanted to honor the Backyardigans, but we went with something. We went with Moses instead of Tyrone. All right, here we go. Brian Holiday. Thank you so much, Brian. Great to see you out here. Really appreciate the super chat. He says, Boston is like a hydra. You cut off one head and two more appear. How do you think Tatum played? I thought he played well despite the bad shooting. So, well, let's go first. Yes, I like the hydra approach because I think mostly even on defense, right? You're forcing switches and you still can't find an opening, right, against those guys. And that to me feels more like the hydra. We got to talk about the dunker spot stuff that they're doing, with a guard having Kyrie be the help defense, basically. It's an interesting thing. I'm going to do it in the video for tomorrow for sure. But was I clear how I thought Tatum played tonight?
Yes, but maybe he didn't hear you.
Well, he already asked it before I was clear.
He did kind of speak to my point that he thought he played well despite the bad shooting. But I don't think. Yeah, go ahead, Coach Nick.
He got a bunch of assists, right? He had
he had a lot of assists tonight, over like double-digit assists.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, he had 12 assists, and he was 6 for 22 from the field. And it's not just the shots that he couldn't make when they were tough. It's just the decisions I thought were really frustrating, and it kept happening that way. And he probably how many turnovers did he have? 3 turnovers, so that's not bad. But
I agree with that. I agree with that last sentence. I agree with that last sentence from Brian here. I thought he played well despite his bad shooting. If you take out the bad shooting, I thought he was fine and played Played well.
Is Brown the MVP of the series so far?
Can I? There we go. Oh, it's cut off because of the thing. You can't see it. All right. Can Chip get his thumb in there?
Yeah. Oh, you can't see it.
Is Jaylen Brown the MVP so far of the series?
This is Jason Tatum. Is he going to do it again? Come on, Apple. No, Chip. There's Chip. Oh, he's not going to give it to me. God darn it. There we go. Anyhow, if you're listening to this later, then we're doing the thing with the thumbs up. When you make a thumbs up, it adds one for you. I'm going to turn that off now because I can't take it. All right. So anyway, all right. So you guys think he played well? I just don't even think he played that well. I acknowledge he didn't. He did throw some dimes. So
he said well, despite it being a bad shooting night. It wasn't great. Obviously, it wasn't great.
No, it was not great. I don't think he was good. You want to say he was fine? I think, right? Is that what we're getting?
You're right. Drew, Derek, and Jaylen were all better. I felt.
Okay, fair enough.
I agree. Drew had a game, man. Drew had a game.
And Derek was timely, right? Timely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Drew was weird to me because when they showed that he had, whatever it was, he had, 15 points. I was like, that's so weird. If I could remember like the layup and then he had 3 and then he had in transition. I couldn't get that close. And he had a couple free throws. So it was weird. Like it was to me, it was almost quiet for a lot of that, a lot of his points scored. But I think that's a testament to how he's in the flow and just sort of playing, not forcing anything. Ended up with 26 points and 11 rebounds. I mean, the difference between, him doing that and, but by the way, Tatum, I don't think played great. Brown was okay, 8 for 15, 21 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, 6 turnovers, though. And some of those were doozies. Not a great game for him either. So they needed Drew. And then but all it says to me is that if they could have gotten competent playing from Kyrie, then it would have been tied at least. They would have had a shot at it like we had seen them do so well in the other games in the rest of the playoffs, right?
Well,
yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this then, because I know that there was situations where Kyrie was taking tough shots. I think he did better when he's trying to attack. But what do you think Boston did well against him to stifle him? Or what do you think the Mavs could have done better to get better looks for Kyrie?
This is the philosophical question, about basketball. Somebody ever guard you, Chip, but they think they're playing good defense, but you really didn't make them pay? They thought they guarded you well, but you didn't make them pay. So I want to ask you guys, do you think he's just not making the defense pay, or the defense is actually so good that they're just actually stopping somebody as good as Kyrie Irving?
I think the defense is good. I think they're making him off balance. But then I think he's forcing the shots. I think it's a combo there. It's remarkable. Yeah.
But he always takes those kind of shots, Coach Nick, but then he makes them. That's what he does. He's Kyrie Irving. No?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
you're right.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. So here's the thing. It's a little bit of both for me. So the open shots he's getting from 3 are not falling clearly over the last couple of games. True. He's not hitting his open threes when he is open. All right. But then when he's not open, anytime inside the 3-point arc, he's sometimes got doubled. But when he's driving and attacking the basket and creating his own shots and drives to the basket, he's much more successful, in my opinion, than he is from the mid-range and out. So I'm wondering if do they try to get better switches on him to try to get mismatches? Do they get him in the pick and roll?
There is no mismatches, Chip.
That's true.
Well, if Horford's out there, they could exploit that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. You have to do a lot to get that to make that happen, right?
I mean, why not just have whoever's guarding Horford set a screen for Kyrie, and then he'd probably get a switch.
They probably won't switch.
I don't know. They switch on almost all those things, but again, I think it's also testament to the offense itself, where there's just not enough movement. It would be so simple to just do a handoff into a ball screen, some sort of pistol action to get some movement side to side before the ball screen, and they get going downhill. Even when Luka does that, every once in a while, they'll get him in the corner and attacking out of that. They just don't do that enough, and it's really frustrating. I was watching to see how often Luka was bringing the ball up, and they pick him up in the backcourt and tire him out, and they're doing a decent job of burying that and letting him get off ball and having other guys bring it up, but it's just not. It doesn't seem organized enough in my mind to really be effective out here. And let's not forget, the biggest thing here is, like we said about the 3-point shooting for Celtics. So many of those shots were open, right? And they just missed them. That in some respects, the Mavericks should have been beaten by 35 points in a normal game.
Well, that's because the Celtics didn't make threes, right?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like it felt close. It felt like if they had gotten that dunk we talked about with the call, whatever, then all of a sudden it's a real game. But in reality, the Celtics, I mean, they would have normally hit at least 3 or 4 more of those threes, and then the game is completely out of reach by 5 minutes to go. So it all spells really, it spells very poorly, or it bodes very, very, very poorly for the Mavericks. This is their game to take. They didn't take it, and I don't know if they're gonna get a better shot than that, even at home. All right. Well, should we bring in Chris to bring in the show and get our quad going? What's going on, Chris?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, brother.
Oh, well.
Pretty good. Well, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm just disappointed because it really feels like we're getting close to halfway here.
Yeah. I think this game was actually pretty similar to the first game, but the Celtics just didn't hit threes. That was really just the difference. The Mavericks really didn't change anything. They continued to play their offense, which was just the Luka ISOs. And when it was Kyrie's turn, he's driving into 3 bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Luka isn't. He's just whether it's a pick and roll or if it's an isolation free throw line jumper. He was making them more, I think, in the first game. He made a few over Pritchard and stuff this game, but their offense, there's just not enough movement, and the Celtics are able to help off so many guys when the ball isn't in his hands, when it's in Kyrie's hands. So they're basically shutting down Kyrie and just letting Luka play 2-on-2, basically, with the guy who's setting the pick and his defender, and then the big. And the Dallas Mavericks offense just isn't. That's why I said a few live streams ago, the Pacers offense is better than the Mavericks offense. There's so much movement. The Celtics had to scramble on closeouts, on everything. And Dallas is one-dimensional offense with their lobs and with their corner threes. The Celtics have shown in these 2 games, we can take both those things away, and there is nothing that you can do on offense to sustain your offense to keep going. When look what happened at halftime. Luka had all the 3-point makes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also,
no one else made a 3. That
No.
tells you everything you need to know about what the Celtics are doing to take away what the Mavericks want to do. And I don't see how they can change that equation.
Well, I mean, I thought that the thing they did differently a little bit would be the Gafford adjustment in the second half, where they started to find him and realize that they have a lot of mismatches there. And he got more run, he got more shots. Like that was, I think that again, that can be helpful. They should probably do that in the first half. I would recommend that, even though they got off to a great start. That was a perfect start for them on the road. But I feel like they can mine some more of that and loosen up the defense a little bit, and then they can get back to going where they want to go. I think the thing with Kyrie is that they know he's not going to pass, right? Like he doesn't really pass on those drives. So you can load up. That one block shot was like, the guy just comes over. He knows no one's open on cutters, or he's not going to get the ball, and they just block the ball on the way down. I mean, by the way, I do want to shout out Kyrie. He had a move to the basket on the right side where he brought the ball like kind of behind his head here, and then like brought it and still released it kind of almost behind his head off the glass, soft, and it was kind of low key amazing. But it's basically what he's got to do to get the shot off, much less even make them against some of these longer guys, and it's he needs to let the offense help him more, and then he'll be good and he'll be fine. But if he's going to attack the teeth, he had that 1-3. I think I talked about it in the game 1 breakdown. It's one thing to like do a little move and maybe get a half a foot of space or a 3 in transition or semi-transition when it's a tie game in the first quarter. But like when the other team has just slugged you and they've gone on a 8-2 run, that is not the time to shoot that 3. And when he did, it was like just more, he's not learning in some respects. It's really frustrating. So, yeah, bottom line is it's all on him. I hate to say it. And he's feeling the pressure. But if he can't play better the way this team is constructed, then they don't have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But Kyrie has always played this way. He just makes shots usually. So, I like Coach Nick, when you say like he's not passing out of drives, like this is always the way he's played. Even though I do think he is a really talented passer too.
And he was doing it earlier in the playoffs. I can picture his drives and kicking to the corners, for PJ. So, but can you picture that in the last 2 games?
But the difference is they're not leaving. Well, the help is there, right? The defense is better. those guys aren't shooting the ball when they get the ball.
I need to check to see if they're staying home on some of those for skips to corners, because in my mind, there's always another guy near Kyrie because they know he doesn't want to really pass it in this mode he's in now. But I got to look. Do you think that they're staying home?
I think they're staying home if it's in the corner, and I think they're helping off if it's above the break.
Right. That makes sense.
Because they know they're not gonna shoot that shot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean they're not going to do the above the break three?
Yeah, exactly. They don't want it. They want to take the corners.
It's
a harder pass sometimes too.
Funny you mentioned that about above the break three, because you were talking about how the Pacers are better in a lot of different ways. That they have Miles Turner. Like, that's a huge difference, when you're comparing those. Like, Dallas has nobody like Miles Turner.
Right. Lively and Gaffer will never get anywhere near the perimeter. That's why Kleba could be useful, but he's just not. He's not back from when he's.
I don't know what you see in Kleba.
He looks uncomfortable. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to our next super chat. Andrew Zoo, thank you so much, Andrew. Again, just really, really generous. Mavs are missing free throws and committing a ton of fouls early. It didn't feel like an NBA Finals team. Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think, Chip, it felt like, there's a nice balance I thought they were doing. They're letting them play, right? If you go to the basket, you better go hard and better go strong. I think that, Tatum needs to learn that a little bit more. He was just really sort of struggling through. I didn't even see anything overt. It might be a little bit of concept, but he just needs to finish those. I think it was 3 layups, right? I think I yelled out 3 times.
Yeah.
I was so frustrated.
Yeah. There was 3 missed layups.
What's that?
Yeah, there could have been, but I think there was like 3 of them where there was some little contact, but it wasn't much, and he missed the finger roll going to the right or to the left. But yeah, here's the thing is, like, they had to call a lot of fouls in the first quarter, but most of the fouls that they called, and I was actually on IG Live breaking down all the calls in real time during the first quarter. And the only thing that I potentially disagreed with was the challenge by Dallas, the result of the challenge. That was like most of the other calls that I saw in that quarter were actually right calls and obvious, or gave an obvious disadvantage to the person who was contacted,
Right,
so I felt like it had to be called.
Let's talk about that call, because I got on the Twitter and said this was going to be overturned because the baseline angle looked to me like hand on the defender's hand contacts the offensive player's hand on the ball and then blocks it, and that should be a clean block. The reverse angle, though, what I saw apparently still doesn't really match up with, and what I saw on the reverse angle indicated to me that it was a foul, because there was like a pinky and maybe a little bit of the ring finger on the wrist. That's how I saw that. That's okay, fine. That should be a foul. But I don't know. Did you hear what Brother's explanation was, Chip?
Yeah, so I did, and it wasn't extremely clear. But one of the things that I heard him say near the end is that PJ pulled White's hand off the ball. It wasn't about the reason they kept that and did not overturn it was not because of wrist contact or anything like that. So a couple of things about this play. And listen, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I'm rarely wrong in my predictions of challenge results. And I predicted immediately when we were watching that live, I predicted they were going to overturn that call. And I even said if I was on Dallas's bench, I would have recommended they challenge that one, because it's obviously not a foul because of what you said. He contacted the part of the hand that was in contact with the ball, which is legal contact. And here's the thing too. If you look back at other plays this season, we've seen multiple plays this season where a player has contacted the hand and it has pulled that hand off of the ball, and it's deemed, even after a challenge, it was deemed incidental contact. So I'm still unsure as why they overturned this one. The explanation didn't quite do it for me. In my opinion, that should have been overturned. I thought that was legal contact with the hand while it was in contact with the ball, and that should have been a successful challenge, in my opinion. However, right. I understand a little bit more, having heard Tony say he pulled his hand off the ball, but it doesn't line up for me based on precedent of other calls that are similar. Yeah,
I almost want to call up the what I took from my phone of the reverse angle, because we could see. I'm almost okay with them all pulling the call, because at least what I ended up seeing was there was enough of like the wrist contact that they could say, okay, that could be the foul. But it was very strange, very not quite clear either on that one. And so, but whatever. It was really early. It didn't ultimately affect anything anyway. But you still felt like it would have been a good challenge because you knew if you felt it was going to be overturned, even though it was that early in the game, you could still.
Well, so that was the only thing that would hinder me from doing that. In fact, on IG Live, I said I would support immediately challenging this play if that's part of the Mavs game plan, like challenging a foul that would result in free throws, right, in the first quarter. If it's not part of the game plan, which I wouldn't prefer it to be, like I thought it was a good challenge because I thought it had a high rate of being successful. And if that's what they wanted, no free throws, then I'm fine with that. But my preference, my game plan would not be to challenge a first quarter foul. And I think that was the first foul of the game for Dallas, not just PJ. So I don't think there was a foul called before that against the Mavs. So I didn't like that challenge, but I thought it had a high rate of being successful. The only other call that I saw in the first half that really, and if we have time, I'll cover it real quick, is that I really just kind of didn't disagree with is a very, very, very tough call. It was the White defensive goaltending near the end of the first half. Yeah. That was a legal blocked shot. That was not goaltending. Yeah. And it's very, very, very tough to see. Everybody's going to say,
that? Huh? How did the ref see that?
So here's the thing is like he could see contact with the rim, but that contact with the rim was while the ball was not in contact with the rim. So that's legal contact with the rim. Like by rule, for that thumb, White's thumb on the rim to be illegal, it would have to be in contact with that rim while the ball was in contact with the rim, rolling on or sitting on top of the rim. Right. If the ball is not touching the rim yet, his contact with the rim does not mean anything unless he was to pull it down, cause the ring to vibrate, and then it caused the ball to bounce up off it unnaturally after it touched it. That was not a defensive goaltending. And also keep in mind that ball was still in both hands when he touched that part of the ball too. It was not released on a try for goal. So the downward flight things of goaltending does not apply. Contact with the rim, the cylinder does not apply because he can be in contact with the ball going into the cylinder because he's still got it in his hands. So, but what John saw on that play was probably the fact that White comes through and contacts the ball, and he thought the ball was on the rim while he contacted the rim. And those are really, really bang, bang plays. But the overhead above the rim angle shows that was not defensive goaltending at all by rule.
You can't, but you're like, you know how Cornet does the Cornet closeout? You can't, like, if somebody's shooting a jump shot, you can't just go up and touch the rim while a dude is shooting a jump shot, right?
Why not?
That's crazy. You could do that?
What do you mean? Like a jump shot?
So I could do the Cornet closeout. You know, the one where he just closes out for no reason.
Yep.
I could just tap the rim while it's in the air.
I guess so.
As long as you don't cause the rim to vibrate and causing the ball to take an unnatural bounce.
He should try that. That Cornet should be doing that because that's
what I would do is I would put my hand through the net in the inside of the net and put my hand through there and like wave at him or something, right? I would probably try that. And by the way, you're right. So that's not because I think what I always understood the play to be was if the ball is anywhere like in the cylinder and then it includes the vertical cylinder, the imaginary vertical cylinder above, and you touch the rim, it's it. No question, it's a goaltend. Nope. But apparently, no, that's not the case.
I'm about to start doing that in pickup.
I'm going to send you guys a screenshot of the rule. Read NBA Rule 11, basket or goaltending and basket interference, and you will not find anything in that rule that shows that should have been a defensive goaltending.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when we went through that in the regular season on that other play, and that was just eye-opening to me. I'm really glad that happened because it's great to learn in other contexts.
I guarantee, though, Chip, then there'd be a bunch of refs that call that incorrectly if somebody were to do it. In a high school college game, if somebody just goes up and touches the rim when somebody's shooting a 3-pointer, I guarantee there's refs out there that would
not in college, maybe high school, but not in college and above. Certainly not in the NBA.
I would teach my players to do that. Then why wouldn't you do that?
There's literally no restrictions on touching the rim while the ball is not on or within the basket.
Okay.
Now, but if you cause it to vibrate when the guy
if you cause it to vibrate. Before
what if the ball's in his hand at 20 feet away shooting a high school 3 and you cause him to vibrate at that moment? Is that still a no-no?
So, like, for example, if you're shooting a 3-pointer in high school and I jumped up as a defender and pull that rim down and it is still vibrating when that ball hits it and causes that ball to take an unnatural bounce, then it is goaltending.
I doubt
then it is basket interference.
I doubt you. Go ahead.
If that rim return after me grabbing it and causing it to vibrate, if it returns to its normal still position before that ball touches it, no infraction has occurred.
So wait,
no violation has
so
occurred.
if somebody's dribbling up the court, I could go and start shaking the rim, and then
you probably don't want to get a technical.
What?
You probably don't want to get a technical foul for hanging on the rim, excessive hanging on the rim, or stuff like that. But if you jumped up and touched the rim, like also another NBA rule too is, especially on closer plays, is if you grabbed any part of that rim to use it as a aid in lifting yourself up or gaining height, or to try to block a shot or stuff like that, technical foul rules apply. All right, so that would not be allowed. So, but yeah, if you guys get a chance, go read NBA Rule 11, top to bottom. It's a really easy rule, really quick rule. Only about 7 sections in there, real quick sections. So you learn a lot about NBA goaltending and basket interference.
Well, let's get back to the finals here. I suppose now Jason Kidd's going to have to sit down and come up with something, a little bit more radical here to break through and try and get a win. I think I would say yes. They're going to find some minutes from Tim Hardaway Jr. to see if he can create something for them offensively in the second quarter. Chris, you don't think they're going to try that?
I think it'd be a mistake. I think that Dallas can't afford to have guys who can't dribble the ball on the court, and I think you saw that with that turnover with PJ Washington had on the sidelines.
Okay,
he can't dribble.
Well, they already got. Wait, Tim Hardaway can't dribble?
He can't dribble.
He dribbles better than Kleba. He dribbles better than PJ Washington. He dribbles better than Gafford.
I've
dribbles
watched
better than Lively.
I've watched Tim Hardaway Jr. since he was in college in Michigan. He can't dribble. He can't dribble.
I'm asking you though, does he dribble better than those bigs?
No, I don't.
PJ can handle the ball. He gets to the rim. He goes left. He's pretty good.
He's really. I disagree. I think that he would be a turnover machine. But you can try it.
We've seen him be good in the playoffs before.
Not dribbling, shooting.
No,
not
I'm just
dribbling.
saying. Well, he gets into his one dribble pull-ups, like that's dribbling.
But the Celtics, if he touches the ball behind the half court, the Celtics are going to. They're going to hound him. Well, he's going to turn the ball over.
Yeah, with Kyrie and Luka, he's not going to be playing point guard. Probably.
You could keep him out of that. I think you can get him in the corners and whatever. But we'll see.
Those possessions when they press up on Luka and Luka just passes it out because he's like, I don't even want to deal with this, and the ball gets to him, right?
Right. Yeah, they can clear him out and only let PJ be back there with him. I mean, there's ways to do it, but I hear you. But I hear even still, I think they're going to have to do some things, right? And on right off the bat, like the easiest thing to do is, okay, let's change up our rotations a little bit. So I would expect to see him get, a little bit different run, maybe one run in the first half to see how that goes. And then the Gafford thing, I would hope that he would maybe start out with that a little bit more and try and find a little bit of ways to get the force of mismatch. And by the way, like the other thing I was going to point out is like Tatum cannot guard Luka. Every time Luka is guarded by Tatum, he's getting layups, and then for game 1 too. So they started targeting that. If you notice, and then there was a strip in there at one point where somebody got back to me saying, "Oh, we just stripped him." I'm like, well, I don't know how clean that one was. He got caught into a whole bunch of people, and the ball got loose. And that happens. But then Luka came right back down and hit a 3 on him or something like that. So that's another matchup they're going to have to continue to exploit. They probably would love to exploit that in the sense of fouls. If they can get Tatum in foul trouble and get him off the floor a little bit, even though he's not playing well at all, I think that would help the Mavericks in the long run.
Yeah.
Wasn't Tim Hardaway an above-average NBA player at one point?
Yeah, it's been a little bit rough, but yeah, the low lights really would stick in your mind. But he can play.
Chris is really low on Tim Hardaway. He's
a one that I've watched so much of Tim Hardaway. He's just a one-dimensional player. He can only shoot.
Right. We got to tell Chris to wear a different shirt when he does these post-game.
They need.
He did that intentionally,
Chris.
Huh?
They need shooting right now.
No, like his shooting would be valuable, but if they close out on him, which they will, and he's dribbling the ball, it's
one dribble pull up. He's actually not. He's not bad attacking closeouts. One dribble pull up. That's what he does. That's his bread and butter.
Okay.
Yeah, just one dribble max.
Okay.
We have another super chat here from Andrew. Thank you so much, Andrew. Here's an interesting throwback. Is PJ Washington the new Rashard Lewis?
Rashard Lewis was a sniper.
Yeah, Rashard Lewis averaged like 27 a game at one point.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember him? He was on the Sonics, right? And the Magic.
Yeah, I remember more of the Magic, but yeah, I mean, he was not the first, but he was a stretch four when the stretch four first started happening to be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, he had 55-point games, I think, with the Sonics, like 50-plus-point games, I think, with the Sonics. He was tough.
Yeah, I mean, he was a key part of that Finals 09 Magic team. Right?
And he wasn't. And PJ's more athletic, I think. They're just different.
They're different. Richard had some hops, and he played defense. He was probably 8 years ahead of his time, right? Like Rashard Lewis now would have a $100 million contract. Maybe he did actually. Did he have
absolutely.
One? He might have gotten paid a lot.
Didn't he get paid like 80 million or something?
Yeah, he might have. Never mind. He wasn't early. He got it. Let me see here. My memory is fading, but I do believe. Let me see here. Where do I go?
80 mil.
Transactions. Where is it? Where's his contract? I'll just scroll down. I'll just tell you real quickly.
You think Trey Murphy could be like that?
Yeah. At his height, he was making $21 million for the Wizards in 11-12. That was the highest individual salary, but he had that one contract looked like it was 14, 16, 18, 19, 21. That was that 5-year contract I think he signed. Or maybe it was 16, 18, 19, 21, 4 years. But so he made $155 million in his career. So he did well. Never mind. Good for him. Anything else? What else can we have to focus on what the Mavericks need to do because they're down 2-0. So what else can they do?
Kyrie needs to play better. That's really it.
He needs to just make shots. Make or miss league. He's just got to make more shots.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the way, like how much more deep the Celtics are. Like you need your top 2 players for the Mavericks playing so great. It's not quite like that for the Celtics. Like Tatum could have an off-game shooting, but they're still going to be all right. Like that's not going to happen with the Mavs because they're just not as deep.
Yeah. By the way, you brought up Trey Murphy.
Yeah,
I think Trey Murphy's going to be better than that. I think he's going to be. He'll
be better than Rashard Lewis.
I think he's on a different trajectory where he'll actually he can put the ball on the ground too, and drive.
So yeah, he showed a little bit of his.
Well, first of all, he's a crazy athlete.
Crazy. He was trying. The problem was he was trying to dunk on some guys where it really wasn't going to happen. If he can get a little bit more of the finesse in there, because it's there. There's some. I see the seeds planted.
You say he handles. He really has no wiggle though. You don't have it. You don't.
Who Trey Murphy doesn't?
Yeah, he's like
but I don't know if he needs it at 6'8" with 7-foot wingspan.
No, but for the type of player that you're projecting, he might be like a high.
Does Paul George have wiggle?
Hell yeah! Hell yeah, he has wiggle.
Yeah, he's so smooth with it, right? To me, in my mind, it's all just so smooth that that's how I see that more than like wiggle. To me, would probably be more like Brunson.
Well,
right?
Well, no, Jamal Crawford is probably the epitome of wiggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's Brunson then?
Brunson's like twitchy.
Yeah, Brunson has
twitchy.
Wiggle, but
okay.
Brunson's all like footwork and.
So we got twitchy and we got wiggle. All right, we'll keep refining these words. But okay. So anything else out there? I'm throwing out there for you guys. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what was happening with the Celtics offense, just to kind of talk about that because they were doing this dunker spot thing where they forced Kyrie in the lane where he's going to help. And they ended up getting like a weird 10-footers in the baseline because what's strange is that you want, it was Derek White doing it sometimes. You kind of want him in the corner for the 3. That would still be open. But instead, they're getting that little – and he hit one. He missed one. Normally, it's a big, takes one step, dunks the ball from that spot. Yeah. So I'm a little bit – I wonder if it's a little too clever by half that what they're trying to do here, and they'd be better off just spacing the floor in a more traditional, modern 5-out.
I think it's just being what's the word? Being diverse in your offense. I guess that's just trying to get the defense to react to that. So then maybe the next few times Tatum does get the layup instead of that guy helping off, right? Maybe they stay home on White on that next drive because they ran it like 3 times in a row, that same exact play.
And they got a layup on one of them too. I think maybe it was a reverse, maybe like that. And I remember my buddy was with me. He was like, I can't take this. I don't like what they're doing. I'm like, what? You don't like layups? What's wrong with layups? That's exactly. He should be in the corner. You get the 3. I'm like, okay, but like you got a layup. Like that's the thing you can't ignore. So I'm gonna probably yank all those plays from game 1 and game 2 and kind of just assess them in one thing for the video tomorrow. Will people watch it? Because I finished the other one early, man. I was up late and I tried to get it up early. And I got to tell you, I wonder, is there like, tell me in the comments, like, is there like a weird, is it the Celtics? Celtics seem to never get like a ton of views over a long time. I think it's because they're boring.
And I know they're gonna. Hey, they were at me in the comment section, but I don't care.
I'm sure they were.
Are boring, and that's to everybody in the YouTube comments that were going at me. They're boring. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. I'm actually not sorry. They're just boring.
Right now. By the way, game one was a kind of a blowout, or it was a blowout. So maybe that's the other reason. Like, I don't need to really watch it. They blew them out.
Yeah,
whatever,
maybe
something. So we'll find out tomorrow.
You see how we're struggling to find topics here. When this, like,
yeah, you're right.
If Dallas would have won and Kyrie and Luka were playing spectacularly, we would have plenty to talk about right now.
Well, by the way, Luka was absolutely incredible for a lot of this game. You know, and it gets thrown away because he did in the first half. But like, you know, that was a show. Hey, what do you have, Chip? 20? How many did he have in the first half?
20.
Oh yeah, he had 20 in the first half. I know for sure.
How many? Yeah.
Here, I'll tell you right now. Luka went 9 for 13, 23 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. You know, just killing it. 3 for 6 from 3. So I mean, that's how you lead your team. But guess what? That huge quarter, you know, they were down. They're down by 3.
Yeah.
What's his face? KP has a huge quarter, or has a huge 6 minutes in the first half of game one, and they're up big. Yeah, like it's a huge boost. Luka's impact did not affect the score, and it was interesting.
No, he had a triple double. Luka had a triple double, didn't he?
Overall,
I believe he did.
I mean, well, that's the game plan, right? For him to
for
just
the Celtics,
yeah. Like, go ahead, go 1-on-1, go 2-on-2.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Kyrie is still going over from 3, you know, why not? You know, I mean, Kyrie hasn't hit a 3 this series, has he?
I don't think so. I mean, you know, Luka was 32, 11, 11. That can't be the game plan. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the Celtics must be that's got to be a bit of concern. Like that's normally a kind of game where the Mavericks can win. You know?
That's what he does, though. That's like regular for him.
But that's why he's going to be the greatest of all time.
You think Luka's going to be the greatest player of all time?
If Luka averaged a 30-point triple-double for 8 years in a row,
but I think
he have to be.
Well, what? Let's say he only wins 2 chips. You know, the Jordan fans would never give that to Luka.
Right. Or how many would he need? Is 3 enough?
I think if he's averaging 30, 10, and 10, and he
needs 5, he needs 1 less than Jordan.
Yeah, I think that for consensus, not for me. Like for consensus.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But then again, like I'm the guy who points out that Stephon Marbury averaged like 20 and 10 for 9 straight years, and will never even sniff the Hall of Fame.
He has a museum in China, though.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
He does.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Okay. It's like literally a Marbury museum.
I got to support New York City, so I had to throw that out.
He has a statue as well, right?
Yeah. Wow. So you can go to a museum in China somewhere, and it will just be, you know,
Steph
dioramas of him. Okay.
No, I'm not talking about Curry.
Yeah, that's right. The first Steph. Okay. All right.
Oh, by the way, Nick, we can get back to what we were saying, but I think I saw we missed Braun's super chat.
Look at Chip. He does it all. Production.
He's our friend of the breakdown.
This is good.
He's our best friend of the breakdown.
This is a great question.
Okay, here's Braun's question. God, sorry, Braun. I really apologize. Please forgive me. Thoughts on Dan Hurley's possible jump to the NBA? Tactical genius, but won't have the Daignault Hardy luxury of being in control of a younger team. That is for sure. He's not coming. I don't even know why anyone really thinks he's coming.
You don't think so?
You think JJ has the job, and you think that the only reason they're doing that is to divert the attention away from JJ?
I just think that, who's they? You mean the ownership of LA?
Yeah, because I don't think JJ wanted this to be out yet.
Right. So, like, this is their way of covering it and making it seem like they're in earnest. But here's the problem.
I mean, there are some things that Hurley has over JJ, like actual coaching experience. But I'm sure that JJ Redick knows the dynamics of an NBA locker room at a way higher level than Dan Hurley. So, there's pros and cons to both.
Well, I said this on a couple of radio spots I did yesterday, and then I'll say it on Twitter too, is his beautiful offense, and it is beautiful, believe me, a coach's dream. There's Princeton, there's triangle, there's pistol, everything you want in there. But it takes forever to actually get to the crux of the matter of the attack. They have 30 seconds on a shot clock in college. And he likes to use a lot of that. And so he'd have to really, really adjust the way he runs his offense because, and I made a mistake. I did say in one of those spots where, the Lakers aren't going to want to, you'd have to like push the ball up so fast into the half court just to kind of get into your half court offense to even get half of what he would want to run. And they don't really want to do that. That said, the Lakers have played top 10 pace for the last several years. So they have been doing pace. I kind of forgot that. From my mind, they were going slower. But I don't know if Anthony Davis. Wow, that lost my mind. Anthony Davis and LeBron, are they going to want to do that? Are they going to? Is Anthony Davis going to sprint down to the corner and then fly up the top of the key and then do a handoff? Like, I don't think they're going to do all that motion. And then you got to deal with Dan Hurley's personality. Is he going to completely change his personality like a lobotomy? Like, I don't think so.
Well, they're not. LeBron's going to know fully what kind of offense and what Dan is doing if he actually were to end up coaching the team. It's not going to be like some surprise, like, okay, LeBron, now I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. Like, I'm sure those conversations will happen before they sign him.
Yeah. I mean, it harkens back to the, I don't know if it'll be the same idea, but it could be. When Mike Brown was in LA, when he had Kobe, Dwight, and Nash, he was trying to install the Princeton offense, much like what we see now in Sacramento, right? He had the vision, and it obviously didn't turn out that way in LA. And the reason is because one of the players on the Lakers basically was like, no, we're not going to do a lot of what you want us to do. And so he couldn't do it, right? That's what happens, especially, and this would happen as well if, Hurley takes over. So he'd find out pretty quick that like this isn't going to necessarily be the kind of control he's used to having. Dan Hurley also talks a lot about in the enlightenment he's had and how he changed the way he coaches. Because listen, I've been in his old man practice once, and it was as brutal as you can imagine. And we've seen the documentaries of how angry the guy is and how much disgust he uses in his communication methods. That won't fly in the NBA. Even if the players like respected him, it wouldn't fly over 82 games. And so you'd have to, and okay, let's just say he's toned it down or whatever, but it would have to be a 180 in my mind. And I don't know if humans are capable of 180-degree personality changes like that. He's not.
If anybody can, he's not one of them. I don't think. And I'm not going to speak poorly of him. Obviously, he's a college coach and I'm a college official, so I can't speak poorly.
Well, he's probably one of the greatest college coaches ever.
He's a great coach. He's a phenomenal coach.
Yeah.
I'm just strictly talking personality, antics, stuff like that. I don't think it would translate to the NBA as well. Do I think he could be a good NBA coach? Yes. I have trouble thinking he would be a poor coach at any level. I think that he's an outstanding coach. I can't say that enough. I just think that some of those things wouldn't translate to NBA rosters or even with NBA refs.
Coach, do you have inside info?
No, I do not have inside info, unfortunately. I'm not like Anthony Irwin. Wait, is that his name? On Twitter, who seems to always have the inside info. But I just feel like, why would he leave? Why would he turn down? He's back-to-back champions.
$10 million a year, Coach Nick.
$10 million a year. I mean, he's got to be getting. Does anybody know what he's getting paid in Connecticut?
He's not getting that.
Well, by the way, the value in stores, Connecticut is whatever he's making.
Coach Nick, even if he takes it, he could always go back to college. That door doesn't close, and he gets the check from the Lakers.
I guess not. Don't ask Mike Montgomery about that, but I guess everybody else can get back into college if they want to. Is that an old cut that no one remembers?
That is. Did he win 2 championships?
Not quite, but he was in a similar situation at Stanford where he was just winning games. He was, he had that job for the rest of his life, and he decides to come in the NBA, and it lasts like, I don't know, a year or whatever. It was it was the Warriors, right? Who did he coach anyway? And it turned into a total nightmare. And now he's listen. Where's Mike Montgomery coaching now? Wherever it is, it ain't like the same kind of thing. He is coaching. Oh boy, there's a couple Mike Montgomerys out there. He is coaching. He's retired. He didn't continue coaching. Wow. He might have gotten like a much lesser post after that and never regained his stature. So, but other than that, we've seen Calipari do it. We've seen Patino do a huge all the way on the world and back journey to get back. So it's possible. But I the guy they carry. I don't think he would touch his feet. Don't touch the ground when he's walking around in stores. Like he just levitates, and he's got that position. So I would be surprised if he left. Let me ask you this: I don't know the makeup of the team right now. Are they all leaving, or is there any allegiance to some of the guys who are going to stay for on the?
They got a few guys entering the draft. I know, right? Castle's entering. 3, right?
So 3 guys are leaving. I don't know.
Castle's going lottery.
So both of them are going lottery.
Yeah, both of them are going lottery.
Okay, yeah, and then but is that the big guy? What's the big guy's name?
Klingen.
Yeah,
he might not go lottery actually.
Right, but he'll get drafted.
Might go mid, like late mid. Yeah.
So maybe that could play into it. I would be really shocked if he actually took the job, but we'll see. But I like what you're thinking about in terms of maybe the Lakers trying to do what they're doing to try and make it seem like it wasn't just JJ the whole time. But the problem with that is it's a huge risk because guess what? Hurley could take the job, which I guess is a win-win for them, right?
Oh, but you don't give a real offer though. You just talk to him. I mean, right? You don't have to.
Yeah, it sounds like he's got a real offer. It sounds like it's his decision. He's really gonna have to make it.
Wait, so you think he got a real offer, but it really happened? Yeah,
you're talking about Hurley?
Yeah.
Oh, Hurley got a real offer, and if Hurley says yes, he's going to be the coach.
Yeah, he just doesn't think he's going to say yes.
Right. Yeah, I just think he's going to turn it down
because he flew out.
Let's say it's double the money. You don't think he would do it?
I don't know.
Based on the reports I've seen, I don't think it would be double the money.
I want to know how much he's making right now.
Kind of year, right?
I know this. And I can't remember.
Danny Hurley make? Sorry, Dan.
But the Lakers is $10 million, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's what we heard. Who knows that's right? But here's what Google says. He signed a 6-year, $32 million contract. If my math's right, it's over $5 million a year.
Yeah, it's around 6. It's almost double.
Yeah. And there would be a buyout, almost $2 million buyout that the Lakers have to pay to get him out of his contract. So.
Essentially double. I think he would take
double-ish, because
and then he could always go back. Like I know you mentioned that thing, Coach Dick, but he'll be able to go back if he wants to go back.
I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah, and also he's younger, so he wanted to go back. Mm-hmm. Like Mike Montgomery was older. That's a little different. Yeah. But the other one would be who coached the Cavs, Baileen, Beeline. Sorry,
Beeline.
Beeline is he coaching?
He kind of conquered college basketball as much as you could conquer it, right? I mean, he got to don't you want to move on to the next level if you're a competitive person?
I thought I read something from him that he would like the challenge of the NBA, or that was a goal of his eventually.
He had an interview. It was early last week about them asking him about that. What would be his perfect situation?
Right. All right. Well, we'll see. I'll be surprised, but you know what? The crazier things have happened. We got one more super chat as we got long in the tooth here for the show. Andrew, again, thank you so much, Andrew Zoo. Really, really appreciate it. His question is Chet in his prime, or is Chet in his prime a shorter KP? Is Chet that much shorter? It's only by an inch, right?
KP 7'3"?
Yeah. What's Chet?
I think he's just
7.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Is he a shorter KP ultimately?
No, I think
he's a stretch big that can protect the rim in that regard. But I actually think Chet has a little more junk in his game off the dribble.
I think Chet's a little bit more fluid.
And I think he's a better passer too, even though Porzingis is a good passer as well.
I think it's a little early. It's a little early.
Yeah, but there's some similarities there. I could see that. What was I going to say?
Oh, Porzingis might be more athletic, actually.
Chet might be a better rim protector, right?
Yes.
Although KP always I forget about KP, and then he'll remind us all of a sudden, like tonight, he had a couple.
I feel like
he's pretty good.
I feel like Chet's feel for protecting the rim is so elite. Yeah. Nothing against Porzingis, but I think Chet's just different. Right.
And by the way, they better be really concerned about KP because he looked really not good after that non-contact. I don't know what was going on. The E version of the ankle. He might have rolled the ankle the other way. He everted, not inverted it, but it didn't even look that bad. But he definitely, did he look better by the end? Now I forgot to check for that again. Was he better?
Well, they took him out with what was it? Like 4 minutes ago? So around there.
Yeah,
he looked like he was laboring though.
Yeah, he did. Definitely.
Obvious.
Yeah. And he's laboring anyway because he's out of shape because he hadn't played for 38 days, whatever. So all those things. But by the way, that would be the other thing that Dallas could do is probably pick up the pace a little bit better. Maybe try and get someone like KP going up and down a little more, tire him out. I don't know. The problem is then you're going to deal with Derek White and Tatum and Brown in the open court. I don't think that's not going to be a great success for them either. So I don't know. I don't feel great. I don't. My Dallas in the 6 prediction is completely out the window. That's terrible. I did say though, if KP was going to come back 100%, which I didn't think he was going to do, then I could say Celtics in 7. But that's going to be way off too. It looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the? I wonder what the odds are. We got to check for when you win the first 2 games, it's got to be 65-70% chance of winning the series. And I would like to know how the number of games breaks down. But I bet you it's 5 and 6 mostly.
Probably.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see what Dallas can do at home in Game 3 because man, like the way Boston's playing right now, like that. Hey, listen, they're making a lot of people eat crow. I'm just gonna be real, like they really are. And like for as much as we've talked about different aspects of it, we've given them flowers on some things. We've talked about how they're boring in other ways, stuff like that. Like, dude, they're taking it to them. They're taking it to the Western Conference champs. So, kudos to the Celtics, man.
And I want to point this out that like they're an Eastern Conference team that let's just say they win. That's important because I'm going by the whole bunch of title winners. We haven't had an Eastern Conference winner
since Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm,
Milwaukee. Oh crap! They snuck in there. Why don't I see Milwaukee?
Milwaukee and Toronto.
21.
Oh wow, it's over on the other side. And Toronto, my fault. Yeah. So never mind. They did. Forget. I think Cleveland got one in 2016. So since 2016 they've won 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 of them are 5-3. So okay, never mind. It's a little closer than I thought. But it'd be nice for the Celtics to finally taste it again. The one thing we're also not saying is that Tatum will probably play better.
Yeah,
because he's playing
those layups. I mean, they have to drop.
The 18th
right?
manner for the Celtics. Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
Hey, and Chris, they have to drop, and then the one where he got fouled and had, like 1 or 2, he had an N1 on. Like one of them at least, like barely squeaked in. Like it was one of those where he just like rolled up and it rolled in. And
Dallas got to implement the rim touch on every 3 that the Celtics just touch the rim, man, while they shoot. That would kill them.
Yeah,
you really think it would be that impactful?
I don't think.
What if you shot a 3? What if you shot a 3 and I touched the rim?
I can send it along to Dallas, and they can let them know. Maybe they'll try it. We'll see.
They got. They got guys that could touch the rim almost without jumping. Like that. That would be easy.
Yeah, like Lively can. If you put your hand, I want to try this. I want to get out there and have somebody put their hand through the rim and wave at me. Yeah, like a wave at me through the rim as I'm shooting a 3. I would wonder. That would F me up, man. Like I don't know how I would handle that.
But how would you getting the rebound affect you doing that, right?
Yeah, you'd want to be impromptu.
Well, if you are up in the air with your hand through the rim when the hand while the shooter's like this, ball's in his hand still, okay, you'll have plenty of time to then land and then turn around and get in position.
But wouldn't you be worried about like your hand getting caught in the net?
No, I would not recommend the reaching up through the net. I would not recommend reaching up through the net.
Just touch the rim, Coach Nick.
I mean, you're right. Like that, an insane person would probably have that concern. I don't think I have that concern. But then again, I've never been able to jump through the net and get my hand above the rim, so I don't know. But I would assume
you never dunked, Coach Nick.
Do it. What?
You never dunked?
No, I used to be able to grab the rim and dunk a tennis ball. On one of our rims in my high school was like 9-10, and so I could dunk the tennis ball on that one. That was our home court advantage.
You were
it was just a couple inches shorter.
It was a fan backboard. And it had 9
2-foot jumper.
What's that?
Were you a 1-foot jumper or a 2-foot jumper?
I'm a 2-foot for sure. Yeah. What are you about you, Combo? You're a 1-foot jumper.
I went through phases, but I think I'm back to 1 now. I went through phases.
Okay, experimental phases. So okay, Chip, were you a 2-foot jumper?
I was a 1-foot jumper because soccer was my best sport, and I was a striker, and I used to jump off 1 to head the ball all the time. So 1 was I was a 1-foot jumper.
What about you, Chris?
1-foot jumper.
Okay.
1-foot jumper.
All right, cool. Well, you saying striker, Chip, reminds me of I'm reading a book right now, which I will recommend everybody. Have we all seen the movie Airplane?
With Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what.
Leslie Nielsen, no.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right?
Yeah, Kareem is in it.
Yeah, Kareem's in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you haven't seen it, you should, because it's a hilarious movie and whatever. I'm actually listening to the audio version of the book about the making of this movie. And if you remember, Ted Stryker is the lead, and he goes Stryker, and the guy's like, all right, and then he whatever. Can't get away with that joke anymore.
Can't get away with it anymore.
But nonetheless, it's a great book. You should all listen to it, and it captures a moment in time. I think that we could all relive at some point.
Yes.
So. All right. Well, this is a great show. Listen. I just want a series. I don't want this to end in 5 games and be a whimper. Let's have some moments here, if we can. If that's why it sounds like I'm cheering for the Mavericks, it's just because I need to have some competition. I need to have something here to.
We need some more basketball, right?
Yeah. So and then get to move on to the WNBA. So all right.
There you go.
And then the EuroLeague will start up again in summer. So and then we got the Olympics. Oh, geez. All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much, everybody out there. Andrew, Above and Beyond, Brian. Let's get everybody out here. Larry, Ares, and Cliffside. I think that's everyone. And Brian, I got everybody there for the super chats. Thank you guys, Chris, Chip, Combo, me, you guys out there. Awesome stuff. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you guys in?